Hey everybody, says we're live. Let me say hi in the chat. I'm running a few minutes behind today. Say hi to Alton. Hey Alton, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I know. You want to go on your W, but we're not ready yet. We're gonna go after the live, okay? Can you go lay down, be a good boy? Okay, Mom. Oh my goodness. Well, let me get back to the office. I was out here. We were watching the baseball game earlier from last night. I stream it through my laptop using the MLB app. For about the past hour, I've been in the office trying to clean up this mess. Still have more work to do. Hey, Jack. Hi, Donna. Thank you for joining. Yes, Alton is doing well. Let me go ahead and get my phone here because I'm going to need it. I was watching Family Ties. It streams on Pluto, the Pluto streaming app. And so I swap between that and Cheers and Frasier. Gives you a clue into what I enjoy watching when I'm in here in my off time. Well, not off time, but I guess you call it like a comfort show. You know, one of those shows you can put on in the background and not really have to pay attention much. So, yeah. So let's see, where are we at today? Monday. It's a Monday. Had a little mini crisis earlier where I thought half of my external hard drives were dying. Did not plan for that. Turns out they're okay. But I'm going to need to come up with a different system and some backups because, yeah, we like Pluto too. We didn't know about it until our Google TV upgraded or updated or whatever. And then we get all these free stations now. And another thing we like watching on Pluto is Jeopardy. There are Jeopardy shows on that streaming service. And I don't know if there's a paid version of Pluto, but even if there was, we probably wouldn't pay for it. We're about free, all you can get. And in fact, I need to go and cancel my Peacock because I'm not watching it anymore. Although I did go to watch a lot of the Golden Girls the other day and saw that the new season of The Voice is coming. So I need to see if there's a free version of Peacock because I do like that show. But I don't know if it's enough if that one show is enough to keep me there. But enough rambling about that. Yes, it is September 11th, sacred day kind of here in the United States. Be 2001? So that 9/11 happened, or 2000? I think it was 2001. So, 22 years? It's unbelievable. Put in the comments below. I'm always curious if people remember where they were or what they were doing when 9/11 happened. I commented on Threads the other day because somebody was asking, and I was living in Washington State in my mom's house, and I was on the West Coast, and my sister was actually helping take care of me. I was recovering from a health crisis, and she was bringing me my medicine and my juice, and so I put on the Today Show, basically at the time that the second tower was hit. And as I said in my comment, it was kind of a collective, I think, WTF moment for the world. It was just unfathomable what was happening. And then, of course, how everything unfolded in the weeks, months, and years afterwards. So, every 9/11, think about the families and those who were lost and how it changed this country and all the things. And when we went and visited New York in, I want to say 2008, maybe 9, they were still finishing the 9/11 memorial. So we didn't get a chance to go see it. But when I go back to New York, I definitely will want to go see it. So, remembering 9/11. What else? Um, yes, liking Peacock for the sports. Uh, to the Cooper Union. Lived a couple blocks over from the trade towers. I guess I'm unfamiliar with what the Cooper Union is. I don't know if that's a typo, but yeah, I mean, the whole city was transformed, even though it happened in, I think they consider that Lower Manhattan. I just remember the images of the debris and the dust and the people fleeing and getting away and going to as many of the outer boroughs. It was just surreal. And so I can imagine anyone who was there when it happened was life changing. So I'm glad your son was okay if he was there. Um, yeah. What else about today? So I only barely have my shit together. Alton had a health checkup, and I think I maybe mentioned last week, and he is okay, thankfully. Uh, our bank account was not quite okay. It was pretty expensive. He had an ultrasound, a bunch of lab work done, but for being a 10-year-old pup, he's doing very well. And they got to look inside his tummy through the ultrasound, make sure his liver and his spleen and kidney, stomach, all the things. And considering he has IBS or IBD, she said that all looked very normal. So we are very thankful for that. We adjusted his thyroid medication, and so that's all good. And he seems to be doing better. He's less panty. We also got him some more robust joint supplement medication, so he seems to be more in less pain. He can settle better. So those are all good things. So that was kind of took up a lot of my last week, in addition to still making designs for my forthcoming shop. And what else? And I ran some errands. This weekend we did chores because when I'm in the office or busy during the week, the house stuff kind of slides. So it caught up on the house chores, and so I didn't get to write up all my new questions. But I am going to start that today here after I get off the live. But my husband, bless his soul, sent me a question, and I haven't read it yet, and I have it here on my phone, which is why I said I needed to have my phone. Let's see here. Question for the live. What is your favorite thing about technology, and what is your least favorite thing, and why? Be specific and give examples. Well, he's probably thinking of how, because I just had this hard drive debacle, it's got us thinking about technology. So I say my favorite thing about technology is technology. It allows us to do things that really were only limited by our imaginations. I do a lot of creative design work, and part of the reason I'm just getting around to opening the shop that I want to do now is because, I feel like I finally have the technology to be able to do it. So, but it's been a dream for years, 20 years. But I did not know how to website code, and I wasn't willing to pay somebody to do it. I tried learning coding myself, did not go well. And so, yeah, I think all the stars have aligned, especially with e-commerce, to kind of help me now bring this dream to fruition. So that's a very specific example. Also, communication. I've said before here on the channel that my husband and I met through social media back in the Yahoo Instant Messenger days. We started chatting first. And so I don't know if we would have met. I'd like to think we would have. had chat technology not existed, but it did, and that's how we met. So I think communication, I think networking, and I think um, advocacy, awareness, community building, especially for marginalized communities, the adaptive technology for people with disabilities is huge. Aids in speaking, writing, hearing, again communicating, have all been able to happen because of advances in technology. In the medicine field, cures for diseases, diagnosing illnesses, that's all aided not just by human thought and education, which use the technology as tools, but the technology itself. And now with I mean, it's just going to be turbocharged because artificial intelligence is being kind of supercharged with that. I mean, I'm not a person, I don't think robots are ever going to really replace humans, but I think it's going to get as close as we've ever come before in human history. So that's all to say, I hope the tools remain used for good and not evil. Let's see. What are some of my? Let me get back. Donna or Jack put a comment in. The Cooper Union is a college in Manhattan, right next door. Okay, gotcha. Next to NYU. So yeah, that is really downtown there. So they were very close. Man, how fun to be able to go to school in New York. We were when we went and visited there. We went to. I'm forgetting the name of the park now. There's a very famous park near NYU, and it was cool. But even though it was summertime, you still saw students who were in summer classes, go out and to have lunch and hang out and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. So thank you for answering what that is. Go back to the technology question. Things I don't like. Well, I just get frustrated when technology fails, basically. And that's because I've become a very spoiled human. So like when these hard drives were failing, turns out it wasn't the drives, it was I had a hub that I was using to connect multiple drives to my was failing. Or maybe because it wasn't a powered hub, it couldn't process all the data of the drives. So I try to have a fairly clean workspace, meaning not too many cords, not too many gadgets. But my backup hard drive situation I'm going to have to figure out. And it may require another plug. But that's pretty boring and neither here nor there. What else do I not like about technology? Sometimes I think with some things like AI, like Alexa or, Siri, which I don't use, I don't know. I just find sometimes it's easier just to do it the old-fashioned way. There's no encyclopedias anymore, right? No telephone books. But I go to Google quite a bit and just ask the question. I don't feel the need to speak it. I can just go and type it. Because sometimes I think when you rely on, hey, such and such, it doesn't necessarily give you the answer you're looking for. What else do I not like? I don't like how there's a tendency in technology space, and this is more with hardware, to have a built-in obsolescence. And so that's, for example, Apple coming out with a new phone every 6 months, or, software companies upgrading their OSs to a point where the hardware eventually becomes obsolete. We have a small museum collection of laptops and former computers that, they're basically paperweights now. And I think it's frustrating because they're just trying to, there's an economic incentive, which, I get, but I think it's very harmful for the environment. I think it's wasteful. And I would say if they're wanting to do that, then they need to provide more robust ways to recycle that stuff or give you more value for your money or be more transparent in their recycling. Because, if I were to take in some gear, which we will have to do eventually, am I 100% convinced they're going to recycle all the parts responsibly? Not so much. And then, like, I don't know if you want to consider appliances technology, but, we have a refrigerator in our garage, which has lasted, I don't know, going on 20 years or something. And we've owned another fridge in the interim that we bought our new fridge. So that one didn't even last 10 years. And it seems like the newer things just don't last the way the old things used to. And these countries' right to repair laws are very, they're not consumer friendly, they're business friendly. And I was really happy when a woman in Washington State, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, it was when, I think it was 2022. Okay. When the last Congress was voted in, she was a Democrat who won in a rural red county in Washington, on the right to repair issue, because she and her husband owns a like a farming equipment business, some kind of mechanic shop, and so she kind of was on the front lines of feeling herself and her customers' frustrations around their lack of right to repair. And I think there needs to be advocacy and overhaul done on those laws to be more beneficial for the consumer and for the environment, and less beneficial for the corporations. I understand there's safety issues, and some of the companies probably justify their right to repair, and they're voiding of warranties because they don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry to go busting open their equipment and potentially hurting themselves, or causing damage and then trying to sue the company. I get all that, but in America's very litigious society, somebody can sue somebody for anything, and I have to believe that they can write up proper disclaimers to say, if you do this, then that waives our liability. So I don't know. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I mean, and I would say overall, I'm hopeful for the future of technology. As much as I say that I'm somewhat of an analog spirit living in a digital world, I'm hardly ever an early adopter. I let a new piece of technology. Yep, I agree with you. The greedy weasels can't make any money if it could last forever. Yep, I hear ya. So, even though I am somewhat of a Luddite, I do, I do have hope for the future with technology. I wish it was more equitable and on a global scale. Even here in the United States, we, in our family, on our Friday night dinners. So I live in a part of California in the Bay Area where you can go out on a regular day running an errand, and you'll see on average 5 to 15 Teslas. I've seen 6 Teslas just at one stoplight. But if you go to other parts of the country for whatever reason, you'll see none or one. So my brother-in-law recently went to Ohio, and I think he said he saw one. And there might be socio-political issues for why that is, but I think some of it's just lack of equitable access, lack of income to be able for those people to be able to afford it. And then on a global scale, if you look at disparities between first world countries and third world countries in Africa and Asia, I mean, some people are still literally living in huts. And I'm not making a commentary that that's not the way that they should be able to live the way they want to live, but I'm just making a commentary on um, the lack of accessible technology to different, geopolitical or geographic areas. And I think, kind of on that same line, when we look at COVID and the schools were shut down, and the government was either subsidizing or companies like Google were handing out, Chromebooks to students who needed them to be able to do remote learning. The fact of the matter is, had it not been COVID, certain communities in those countries um, would have never gotten those laptops, those Chromebooks. And the fact that they were able to then get that technology, it undeniably opened opportunity for them. So, yeah, that's my little like mini soapbox on that. And yes, Jack, I do feel ya. So I have hope for the future. Again, I hope that policymakers, Congress, regulators learn that technology is a tool and that human beings ultimately control how technology gets developed and who has access to it and how it gets used. And you're seeing those conversations around AI right now. But I'm always a glass half full girl. So I hope that everything will be okay. Because one thing is for sure, it's not going away. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. We are, at a place, I think, in the spectrum of human existence that it's just only going to accelerate. So, yeah, that was a very good question, Drew. Thank you for asking. If you guys have your own ideas, tell me in the comments what are some of your favorite technologies that you like to use. I remember my grandma, her having a television without a remote control. Now, these days, I couldn't imagine living without a remote control. So that's a very simple answer, overly simplistic. But, things like that. So, I feel like I've chatted your ears off, going on about 25 minutes here almost. So I'm going to wrap it up so I can take Alton for his walk. I can hear him whining at the door. Oh, I will plug a new thing I bought. So I do love Target, and I'm trying to drink more water and less soda. I'm really trying. Some days are better than others. But I bought this cup, and you know how I love a good drinking vessel. And the cool thing about it is it's stainless steel, but it's lined with glass. So you see this glass part, and then down in this part is stainless steel. And then this is plastic. So it doesn't sweat. And it stays really cold. And what's helping me is I don't like to drink water. But what helps me to drink water is if it's cold. So typically what I've been doing is I'll have my daily allotment of soda, and then I just switch over to water. And I just drink water for the rest of the day. And so far that's been working. And then I have my little glass straw here. So again, these were on an end cap. They're called Reduce. Is that what that says? Reduce. And it was on an end cap at Target. They had different colors. And this was $19.99, which was a little pricey. I do not like drinking out of plastic or just stainless steel itself, but the glass liner got me. So I'm really glad I bought it. It's been easy to keep clean, and I've been using it a lot. So if you've been on the hunt for a a new tumbler cup and you live near a Target or you shop at a Target, I can give those a hearty thumbs up. Yes, definitely. Got to keep an eye on it and don't bury your head in the sand. Yeah, and I hear you on the cautions about AI. I have not done much investigating into AI. There are some applications I'm starting to learn about that might help with my creative endeavors, but I think AI is just a good, at least in the realm that I might use it. It's like a good launch point, but I don't agree with. I think that there is a legitimate concern, like right now with the writer's strike, the strike that's happening in Hollywood, about the proper, what's the word I'm looking at? I'm trying to think of, the creative originality. God, what's the word? Andrew would know the word. Like not the royalty, but basically that artists should be compensated for the work they're doing. And if companies can find a way to basically, do that work instead of them, that's not really fair. And residual, that's what I was trying to think of, residuals. So, well, I'm not crying in my tea too much for the millionaire, actors and actresses out there. I do really feel for the rank and file Hollywood people who are in the writing rooms and producing staff and showrunners and all the production people who you never see, their name in lights, maybe only in the credits. And likewise, with writers, authors, any creative work really. I don't want to see robots or computers or AI, as it's known, replace that. I just don't. And I think that if AI is used more as a tool, there needs to be blaring and glaring labels that this is artificially made. And so then people can know. So, yeah. But I don't think thankfully, Jack and Donna, I don't think that AI, as much as the hype men and women out there who are all like, oh, AI is the future and AI this and AI that, I don't see it really becoming anything mainstream, if it does, until for at least another 20 years. I just don't see. It's kind of like how, Bitcoin was supposed to be the thing and that fizzled, and then virtual reality was supposed to be the thing and then that fizzled. And yes, while technically, cryptocurrency and virtual reality have become somewhat disruptors in their own spaces, they certainly have not taken over the world. And I don't think AI is going to be any different. So, at any rate, now I really rambled. I need to go and take care of little man. But thank you for this chat. I appreciate you sticking around, Jack or Donna. I'm assuming Donna's probably at work and this is Jack. But if you're both there, thank you so much. And to everyone else, if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much. And well, yeah, let's email. Feel free to email me. My email box is not full. You can always email me, but I need to catch up and catch up on my emails. Like I need to catch up on my questions. Like I need to catch up on my videos. It's just like, you notice the theme? It's catch up. Oh my gosh! And it's already like almost the second week of September. Oh, and it's Alton's birthday week. It's gonna be big 10 years old. So lots going on. I can't believe it, but we'll just do the best we can do, right? One day at a time. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will tell Andrew you said hi. And I'll see you next week, if not before. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye for now.